Hello and welcome to Friday, April 22, 2022. I am Dale Delbridge, Benchmark Realty. This is your status chat. And unlike usual, we do have the numbers, but this week we're going to cover a 2-week period. The period is irregular because of Good Friday. I took Good Friday off from production because we work Friday, Saturday, and Sunday with the children's ministry down at the church. And it's not that I don't love you, but I guess I love the children a little bit more. I have a little bit more of a heart for little people and getting them off to hopefully a good start in their lifetime. And we had a great time, worked 3 separate functions over the 3 separate days, 2 of which I had not done in the past. So that was a big hoot, and we're ready to proceed to the middle segment.
Hello, I'm Dale Delbridge of Benchmark Realty, Murfreesboro, Tennessee. If you are currently unrepresented and would like to know how to compare up to 3 properties side by side and room by room, then go over to my new YouTube channel, Call Dale to Sell. That's 1 L in Dale, no spaces. Watch the demo on Real Scout, and then call me and we'll set up your exclusive ad-free account today.
Well, hello and welcome to the middle segment. With anything we bring to you from the internet on a status chat, we'll provide the full link to that thing from the internet in the description of the status chat over on the YouTube channel where you find the actual status chat posted. Now, I have something for you today, and it comes from Realtor.com. Let me slide up to show you that. Yes, Realtor.com right up here. And we're just going to slide, if I get my arrow in the right spot, we're going to slide on down here to the headline. Can I and should I tap my 401k to buy a home? All right, this is from Kathleen Wilcox. I want to give her full credit. April 21st, 2022. And looking at the clock on the computer, that would have been just yesterday. And it talks right up here at the top, buying a house has never been easy, but it would be tough to find a time that was more difficult than now. Homebuyers have been put in a vice by multiple economic factors. We had the flu that lasted for more than 2 years, and even now we see in the news that the CDC is not accepting the fact that the courts have told them they don't have the right to impose upon us. However, those 2 years have really hurt a lot of people, and it has put a bite on inventories nationwide simply because we weren't able to get out and build, and a lot of builders were in question about, are we going to build and maybe not get people out here to buy our homes because we just built them and maybe they don't qualify for loans or whatever. So it's just shook the economy to its core. And then, of course, we printed about 25-30% of our money supply, which is causing massive inflation. So it's just very difficult. So there we are, Middle Tennessee. I think we've slipped to, by one report, down to number 4 in the nation for a destination where to go. So we're having people flee some of these areas coming to us. You've watched the show before. That's really making inventory tight, and it's tough for home buyers, especially if you don't have a home to basically trade up or trade down or trade locations for. So the question is, should we tap our 401k? Well, in general, the answer is no. I mean, that's not very real estate-y or salesman-ish of me, but the truth is, in general, the answer is no. It's just not a good idea. Okay, let's slide on down here. We're going to talk about, she talks about the bidding wars and the cash. We've got so much cash money coming into Middle Tennessee. If the finesse of your real estate professional can't help facilitate your purchase, the little bit of extra cash you bring may cover the cash gap that people are facing where the appraisal falls short from the selling price, and you might fill in. In that case, perhaps pulling for a 401k might make some sense. Again, there's no pat answer, but the general answer is no, you really shouldn't pull from your 401k for the average person. Okay, now let's go ahead and slide on down. We're going to talk about why. Okay, well, you know what a 401k is. It's a tax-deferred program under the IRS code. So the IRS is simply betting that you're going to continue becoming more and more productive during your life. You're going to be making more and more money. And then when time comes for you to cash out your retirement, your 401k, your tax deferred, that you're actually going to be in a higher bracket and they're going to net more money. Plus, you're going to have the time value of money, so you're going to have invested it, and it's going to be even more money on top of that because it's going to have compounded. You, on the other hand, are putting money away because you're saying, look, I've got enough money to live on. I really don't need this extra. Let me invest it now so I don't pay taxes and it'll be worth more later on. But the overall goal is, as far as the federal government is, that when you defer taxes, they get more money in the long run from it. So here, that's what our program is. Now, this really is the takeaway from it. Many financial experts advise against withdrawing money from your 401k before 59.5 because you have to pay a 10% early withdrawal penalty if you take it out. Now, that's not the full picture, because quite honestly, when you take money out of a 401k, if it's before your age of 59.5 and you're not in a qualified hardship, not only do you get hit with the 10% tax penalty for it, for whatever you take out, but you actually pay income taxes on top of that. So let's say you're at 23.5% income tax for some reason, and you take some money out of your 401k before your age of 59.5. Then you'll pay your 23.5% regular marginal rate that you'll pay on your income tax, and you'll pay 10%. So you'll be paying 30 some odd percent on your tax on that money. That really, really cuts into what that money is, and you lose the time value of money, the building up of that money over time. So you get kicked in the teeth twice, on the penalty and on the loss of what that investment money goes. And maybe it's not a good time. Maybe it's a great time and you actually net more money out. But right now, a lot of the stock market is being very, very jittery because of high inflation. So you take money out now, you may have actually lost it. I lost about 20% or so since the coronavirus came out. So I'm not doing great with that. I'm still better than I was, but it's a big hit. Now, what if I had to pay another 10% and pay income tax on top of that? That would be tough. So again, my situation, your situation, they're very, very personal. They may not be the thing to do. Maybe it is. Maybe you don't have a rich uncle that can help you with a down payment, or maybe some early on repairs, or you want to do a little bit of remodeling right as you go into the home. There's a lot of reasons you might want to do it, but there's going to be a stiff price to pay. Now, here's where we got the two options that you have to get the money out. We talked about what happens when you do take the money out before age. Now we're going to look at what happens, how you get it out. One way is to do a loan. Okay, the loan is not really a bad way to do it, but you have to pay yourself back interest. Now, you don't necessarily pay the taxes on that because you're paying yourself back. Okay, if you take a loan, you don't get hit with the penalty of the 10% because you didn't take it out. But then you have to pay normally 6-7% interest when you pay your own self back. But it's not 6 or 7%. It's just 6 or 7% plus the rate of growth that you would have in your investment. So there you are. If you're making there for a couple of years, I was doing about 15-16% overall. So I would lose that 16%, and I would have to pay the interest back to myself. I would avoid the 10%, but it's still a big whammy. The other one we've already talked about is if you withdraw the money from the account, and if you do before 59.5 without a qualified reason, you get hit pretty hard. So it just depends on your situation. They talk a little bit more about this. We've talked long enough. I'm just going to go ahead and cut this off now, let you read the article if you're interested in. But the idea basically is no, it's not a good idea to take money, but there may be some extenuating circumstance that you have that makes it necessary for you, and you need to look at that. But you also need to understand the tax implications that you're going to get hit with, And I apologize for not being very real estatery and say, yes, take some money out to facilitate your buying a home. But reality is, if you're ready to move and you're trying to get kids in school, you may need to. And I don't stand in judgment of that. It's just I need you, if you're going to work with me and me with you, you need to understand the full ramifications of the decisions you make. And that's what I'm here for, to do my best to help you make your best decision given the time and circumstances you're in at that particular moment of your life. So we're going to return you to the rest of the show and get on from there. Let's look at our numbers from the previous period, which was not last week. For 8/22, we had 97 opportunities in the Real Scout system. That was an increase over the previous period. 4150 were the under contracts still showing. And at an integer level, with the rounding, we actually had a 2 percentage point drop over the previous period. Back then, it was 51%. Now, 2 weeks later, 4/22/22, we have 8456, which is a increase in the opportunities. We have 4268, which is also an increase in the under contract still showing. And by just the miracle of rounding, we got to a 50%, which is a slight drop in the ratio between them at the integer level, which is showing me that the actual bump in opportunities and under contracts are showing that we've really started to head into the spring buying season. And I think that looks good. The grass is green. We're cutting the trees and the things are in full bloom. In fact, I think we've probably hit our last cold spell, because my red oak in the backyard is beginning to leaf out. And when you see the red oaks leafing out and the black walnut leafing out, you can pretty well much rule out the rest of the winters, the winters that we have, redbud winter, yada, 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 that sort of thing. So usually when you see the red oaks begin to leaf out, and the black walnuts, we're headed into spring and summer full time. So we appreciate you watching. Thank you.